family, what's up? I am so excited you are here today. Dr. Janice Beal is with us, and she's going to be talking about the impact of COVID-19 on mental health. Hey, lady, how you doing?
I am fine. How are you doing this afternoon?
I am so excited you're talking to us about mental health. That's such a strong issue that we have in our community, and many times we don't even talk about it at all. We don't discuss it. It's kind of pushed under the rug.
It is. It's pushed under the rug because we don't want to acknowledge the fact that mental health is real.
Yes.
So I am so excited that people are looking at it now, and
Yeah.
people are ready to embrace what does good mental health look like.
Yes.
Because what we're in right now is going to affect us, and
Yep.
so we need to make sure that we're ready.
Let's talk a little bit about your background and how you got into being a doctor of, Dr. Janice Beal. Let's just talk a little bit about that.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's been a long journey.
Yes.
Actually, I tell a story, and we don't have as much time, but actually, when I was growing up and going to school, I didn't know anything about mental health.
Yes.
We personally had a family member who suffered from mental illness,
Mm-hmm.
and now I know what to call it because now I know what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But as a child, it was just kind of like he was a person who had something was wrong with him, and he hadn't taken his medication.
Right.
And so I came from a family who had a lot of medical doctors and physicians, but no one ever gave it a real name for what happened to my cousin. And it ended up being schizophrenia. So just by chance in college, I engaged with a professor, and he asked me, did I want to take one of his classes? And voila, that's where I was supposed to be. And 30 plus years later, I am so happy that I made that journey, and I took that class from the University of St. Thomas, and I never looked back. I enjoy what I do. I love what I do. And I'm on a mission to make sure our people are aware of mental illness, and we're able to embrace the fact, and we no longer have the stigma that's been with us for generations.
Absolutely. I love that about you. And this is your specialty. This is what you really specialize in at this point. Well, all the time, you have a specialty.
I specialize really. My name is kind of synonymous with children and adolescents.
Yes.
I have worked with children and adolescents for actually throughout my career. But as of course, you can't work with a child without working with the family, and so that embarked on me doing family work and then individual work as well. But my love is working with children and adolescents.
Yes.
I just think that that's such an important group, such an important age. But we can't really reach the family unless the families are aware and understand what illness is.
Yes.
So I call myself a drum major because I'm going to talk wherever I can to make sure that we're aware and we're able, and especially people of color, not only the African American community, but all races and people of color have a stigma associated with mental health.
Right. I love that about that. And I've seen you all over the place since COVID has come to light. You have been speaking and on panels and on a lot of places talking about COVID and mental health. Let's talk about some of that you've been talking about on your road and what you've seen.
Okay. And that's because I knew that it was going to happen.
Yes.
I knew we were going to be affected as a people because I've lived through, all the hurricanes and the storms and all the things and tragic happen. And I've worked tremendously and endless hours of working with people who've been traumatized. And the trauma affects not only children and adolescents, but affects adults, the elderly, everybody's affected. This was such a new phenomenon, that the fact that this pandemic had never been experienced before, except for the last time in 1918. So here we are 102 years later. But I started doing the research to talk about what was needed and what we were going to need as people in order to mentally be able to make it through this. And the difference between what we're doing right now and what's happened to the past and other things that have been traumatic is the fact that we don't know when the end date is going to be. Right. So therefore, for people to be able to talk about what do I feel like right now? What's happening to me? Being isolated, not having the ability to hug somebody anymore. Our whole society has changed.
Yes.
We're no longer able to walk into somebody when I greet you and I'm going to extend my hand because we're not doing that. Right. So, and it happened so suddenly. When you look at other things that are happening to us, you'll see the fact that we have a time period. The forecaster on the weather news person saying it's going to happen. The storm are changing, and they'll talk about what's about to happen as far as where it's going to land and the possibility. We had no clue.
Right.
One day we woke up, there was no COVID-19. The next day we woke up and we were dealing with COVID-19.
Absolutely.
And still continues to be for a lot of people. I saw a few seconds ago, you showed the HISD mental health COVID hotline. The school district is important to reach out and have something for their community. So over the 200,000 kids that they have in HISD, the hotline was developed. In order for people just to call in. If you have somebody you want to talk to, a crisis counselor, you're able to do that. I've been doing a lot of referrals to the Harris Health Center as well. The hotline, I see the numbers coming up again. It tells you can call about anything, any type of emotion. There's a lot of anxiety about it. We have to be able to let people know what's going on and how you're feeling. So the call accepts not only crisis situations, any type of situations. The Harris Center, which was also put on, that I added to the screen, offers free counseling services. All and register. They have different locations, and there are places because people unresolved issues in our childhood, they're going to come up.
Yes.
Okay. Rest assured, it may not come up when you're in your 20s or maybe not even your 30s, but by the time life continues, something will trigger that and trigger that emotion. So there are a whole variety of mental illnesses, but mental wellness and mental health means being in balance with yourself.
Right.
As far as my
I love that. I love what you're saying about that. So people can know that there's not you shouldn't be embarrassed or you shouldn't be in fear in saying something's just not right. I need to go talk to someone.
Correct. And once we get that stigma out of our society and we understand. Now, I do know the origin from which it came from because of the fact we have a mistrust, and I say we as a group of people, African Americans, have a mistrust in the system. And that goes back Tuskegee study to
Mm-hmm.
where we were used and we did not get our informed consent. But being able to know that the system is there in order to be helped to help them, because
Right.
often when I grew up, whatever happened in my house had to stay in my house. What
Yes.
about you? Okay,
Exactly.
and you
Mine too.
tell, not tell anybody at the church
Right.
what's going on.
Right.
So as I grew up and I started talking, I realized that everybody heard that same message, and I know we weren't
Yes.
all related.
Yeah. Right.
So listen to the fact that everybody continues to say that.
Yes.
But to know that when you seek help from somebody, it's okay
Yes.
because that's the person's responsibility in order to be able to help you make it through whatever it is. And
Right.
it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you if you look outside of your household or you look outside of yourself in order to
Right.
receive help from someone else. That's
Right.
what we need to understand.
I'm
And
so
it's not a
glad you're saying
reflection.
that. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you're
it's not a
saying that.
reflection on parents. It's not a reflection on
Yes.
it's not a reflection on anybody. It is what it is. Because
Mm-hmm.
whether it's nature versus nurture, we don't know for some illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
So you could stop it sometimes if you wanted to.
Right.
Okay, but I don't think that people need to suffer in silence. So that's why I said we need to stop the black pain and we need to
Mm-hmm.
be able to actually deal with whatever a person is experiencing.
I love that. I'm glad you're speaking on that because now that people are closed in together or there's a 40 million plus people are unemployed,
Mhm.
anxiety has been a really big factor in the community. Let's talk a little bit about anxiety and what that is because some people say, I feel like I'm having a heart attack. I feel like I'm having a stroke. My heart is, my blood pressure is going up. My heart is palpitating, really fast. What is going on? And then when they get to the doctor says, you're having anxiety. You just need to relax.
You've given all of the descriptors. You've actually have described who are having an anxiety attack. An anxiety attack actually feels like you're having a heart attack.
Yes.
It feels like your chest is constricting,
Mm-hmm.
that you can no longer be able to function, and people become fearful and afraid.
Yes.
So what we have to do as clinicians is to understand why a person is having an anxiety
Yes.
attack. What's the cause of it? And then we teach you how to have breathing techniques and other methods in order to control your mind not to go through what you're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing at that. Sometimes, of course, we have to refer out to psychiatrists, and
Mm-hmm.
psychiatrists are another mental health professionals who are pretty at the top of the food chain because they're the only ones who can prescribe medication.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so, with the medication, in order to help with anxiety attack or anxiety that they're experiencing, if talk therapy is not enough, we
Right.
first start off with talk therapy to see if it works. And if it doesn't, that's when we seek the help of a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, you've given some of the major things that are happening right now with people.
Right.
They have their job employment is down, the
Mm-hmm.
ability to be able, kids are at home,
Right.
all of those stressors. And so we talk about stress and how that impacts because if you're under a great deal of stress, it can cause you to have an anxiety attack or
Mm-hmm.
anxiety to be one of the things or depression.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm talking about and my mission is trying to talk about how to decrease some of the stressors that people are experiencing
Right.
so that it doesn't go to the next phase.
Mm-hmm.
So anxiety is real.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you believe it. Anything that you believe and anything that you're thinking becomes real because it's real to you, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
I tell people all the time.
The other thing you
So
talk about, and I love just listening to you about every mental health period, is depression, clinical depression. You really describe it so vividly so people can understand that. You know how some people say they might say they're depressed, but many times people won't say anything. They just can't get out of bed and they don't know why. They can't get up and function all day. They'll be in the house, especially now because of COVID. We need to, people that are single or so, sometimes we need to be calling or knocking on the door, what's going on, because we haven't seen them in a while or heard from them.
that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's because we're requested now to isolate ourselves and
Right.
to not around other people, but
Mm-hmm.
it's important to keep in contact and we kind of like check on that person or send them a
Yes.
text or give them a call, especially if they're elderly or even if they're not elderly. It could be anywhere from children. I've had kids
Mm-hmm.
who have called and have talked about having anxiety and depression themselves,
Yes.
wanting, or even suicide as a which is the
Mm-hmm.
extreme form of depression and experiencing different things. So there's a whole gamut of emotions that people experience. But when a
Mm-hmm.
person is colleague are diagnosed with a mental health disorder, that means that they have met certain criteria. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, interested in things that you've been interested in before, which means no motivation, either overeating or not eating enough,
Mm-hmm.
over not functioning without any sleep. I've seen people go into manic states where they're
Mm-hmm.
not getting right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so therefore, if you go several days without sleep, your body will start to respond, and you
Right.
will go into a state that you cannot seem to come out of, or it's like a whirlwind that's happening to you. So yes, everybody gets depressed, but
Mm-hmm.
it's when only clinical when it gets to the point where you cannot function any longer,
Right.
and you're no longer able to be able to do the things that you used to do.
Mm-hmm.
So check on others, Snapchatting, um, Zoom calls, anything to
Mm-hmm.
just to engage each other is very
Right.
important. Exercise is important. Okay, we have an opportunity to try to work on. I know everybody says I've gained the COVID-19, which means they've gained weight. But yes, exercise. Let's try to see what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we're doing that mind, body, soul. We're trying to do an equilibrium. So we're
Mm-hmm.
trying. So that means changing your eating habits.
Mm-hmm.
Let's also talk about meditation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of people don't. Well, how do you meditate? How do you mindfulness? How do you
Right.
take yourself to a different stage to be able to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to relax? So there's so many things that you can do or people can do in order to help themselves. Not only are you hurting someone else, you're not protecting yourself as well.
Exactly.
So we were all to do all those things that have been recommended, and then we would be able to get this under control. And that's where we are to get it under control. Because from my understanding, the virus is not going to come out until the first of next year.
Wow.
In order for people to be able, the pharmaceutical companies have stated they're working on a vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
For the last conversation, or the last actual meeting that I was a part of, where there were
Mm-hmm.
several people in the city,
Right.
not going to come to the first of the year. So
Wow.
we have a ways in order to be able to function and cope with what's going on.
Wow. Let's take a break right there and we'll be right back. And we will be talking to Dr. Janice Beal again.
We'll be right back to the Cam Hill Show after these messages.
Houston's only Cadillac to your door dealer, Ron Carter Cadillac, delivers test drives to your home or office. For a limited time, get $16,000 off all in-stock Cadillac 2019 XT5 crossovers and $19,000 off all in-stock 2019 CT6 sedans. Or experience the first ever 2020 Cadillac XT6 Premium Luxury Collection. Only $519 with $1 down for 39 months lease. Or purchase and receive 0.9% APR for 72 months with no payments until November. RonCarterCadillac.com.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service, striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
Houston's only Cadillac to your door dealer, Ron Carter Cadillac, delivers test drives to your home or office. Drive the new 2020 Cadillac XT4, only $399 a month, or the new 2020 only $429 a month, both for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Or purchase the XT4 or XT5 and enjoy 0.9% APR for 72 months with no payments until November. RonCarterCadillac.com.
Have you been injured in an 18-wheeler accident, truck accident, car accident? Was someone texting and ran into the back of you, not paying attention? It doesn't matter what it is. Give me a call, Attorney Willie Powles. We'll fix it today. The number is 281-881-2457. Again, that number is 281-881-2457. We'll fix it today. Call Attorney Willie Powles.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hi, we are back. We are talking to Dr. Janice Beal. Hey, lady.
Hi, Cam. How are you?
Oh, I'm excited about this because this has been a part of our community for the longest, and we have just been pushing it under the rug. And I believe that a lot of this has to do with, of course, as we were talking about families saying just, don't say anything, don't speak of it. Leave it in the house. Whatever we do here stays here. And unfortunately, it has really destroyed a lot of the community. And I think many people that may be in
been addressed in its entirety. So then you have an adult male that's incarcerated, and then they have a lifetime, or they come into therapy after they've been, they're on parole or probation, and then they try to maintain that. So I'm happy that we're at a time that Black males are coming into treatment and understanding the importance, but we're still behind.
Right.
We're still behind. We're so far behind. Kim, I'm not sure if you even know that the suicide rate among African American males between 16 and 24, somewhere around that time period, has increased throughout the years.
Yes, it has.
So we have a large increase in that age group and that population of suicides. And people are saying, well, they haven't heard about it because they're just not looking for the research.
Right.
The research is what's happening to our children.
Mm-hmm.
So from a mental health perspective, a lot to be able to recognize. Because parents will know if their children are if there's something that's bothering their children. And it's okay to seek out, because it doesn't mean it's a reflection on you. It's a reflection if you know something's wrong and you don't do something.
Right. I agree with that. You, as a researcher and educator, you have accomplished so many things. I've seen it, I've read about it, but let's talk of some of the greatest things that you've been, as your accomplishments in your field. Let's talk about some of those.
Wow. Okay, Kim. That's a question I wasn't expecting. I can talk about, you become embarrassed when you talk about yourself. What is it?
Yes.
I think as a clinician, I love people so
Yes,
much.
you do.
That when I see a success that's taken place,
Mm-hmm.
It just fills my heart a little bit differently. I can see people who are children or who've grown up, who have become adults, and sometimes they bring their kids back. So I still have an incredible memory to talk about how things came about.
Yeah.
But as a researcher, I've had an opportunity to write several papers, to be on lots of grants. When I taught at Prairie View back in the day, I think one major accomplishment from that was the fact that I think at last count, I had 12 doctoral students. So from my teaching days back then to where we are today, I've had 12 students come in and have received their doctorate degrees. And I'm talking to one right now. She's in Washington State, and so she keeps up with me. So she's almost there. So that'll add to my list of incredible people I've had an opportunity to be just a little part of their life.
Right.
I've written children's coloring books on children of incarcerated families.
Mm-hmm.
I have great interest in, of course, the criminal justice system, as I just talked about a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel through coloring, we can talk about our children, and not only children, adults, anybody can color, and they start talking openly and freely.
Right.
So I kind of figured that out like about maybe 10 or 12 years ago, if not longer, maybe a little bit longer, really about 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that coloring works really well with all age groups. Another accomplishment that I think that I would love to say is that I've opened 3 inpatient psychiatric children and adolescent units, 3 freestanding hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
That was quite an accomplishment for me to go in and make sure, because our city, as large as we are with 4 million people, we still don't have enough hospitals to service those who are mentally ill. And so the need continues to be great.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have places when hospitalization is needed.
Yes.
So I would like to think that everything that I do, whether it's from walking into a room full of 100 people to walking in a room full of just one person,
yes,
as an accomplishment. So yes, okay, we're gonna get off of me. We're gonna go.
We wanted to do that because people need to know, Dr. Beale, what all you have done for Houston, and Harris County, and really to the world, because the people that you have touched over the world, they have just gone out in life, and you have really made it better. Just making the people understand that mental health is not anything to be ashamed of. Nothing to be ashamed of.
It is not anything to be ashamed of. And
Right.
it used to be, and it's the last thing I used to do, lectures, and I'd walk in and I'd say, how many people have somebody in your family who has mental illness or has a mental health condition? And no one would raise their hand.
Right.
Now, if I make a statement, I see the hands going.
Yes.
And I, too, will raise my hand so that you understand that none of us are immune.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is okay. So once we acknowledge the fact that we have issue or problem, that's when the healing part
Right.
comes.
Right.
That's when you get a difference in people, and you can see a difference in what they're able to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and the last thing I just thought about was back in the day, I started the first Counseling African American Families conference in the
Mm-hmm.
country, and
Mm-hmm.
it lasted for 8 years. And I
Yeah.
started with some of my Prairie View students,
Yeah.
and I was so proud of that. It just stopped, and people have asked, "When are you going to do that?" Because it allowed mental health professionals to come and talk about
Right.
mental health issues that were unique to just us.
Mm-hmm.
And I expanded for the last, Alvin Poussaint was the last person that we brought into Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I've worked in every area of mental health, and I continue to love it. As long as I
Mm-hmm.
have something that's challenging to do, or a person that I can feel as though I can help, then I'm ready for the challenge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When do we know about, and we call it therapy? We say, oh, you need some therapy. That's how we, you need some therapy right now. You need to go to therapy or something like that. When does a person know they need therapy, that they need some help in that way? They need to talk to someone. Let's say it like that. They need to speak to someone that is not a family member.
Kim, when you keep doing the same thing, you keep getting the same result,
Yeah.
uh, and you're trying to figure out why you can't get out of that same hole, that may be the time to reach out to
Yeah.
uh, actually get assistance.
Yes.
When you feel as though that you can no longer function,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't have any other options, or you've tried everything,
Mm-hmm.
having that outside person to be able to help and navigate you through the
Mm-hmm.
process. It's
Yeah.
just what therapy is about.
Yes.
It's not like you're coming for someone to tell you what to do, how to do
Mm-hmm.
it, when to do it, what
Mm-hmm.
have you. You make guidelines and you make it
Yes.
suggestions to do certain things, but it's about you figuring out things that have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I said earlier, if you don't deal with it, and it's
Right.
something that's happened, there are people who've been all the way up until
Right.
where we are in
Mm-hmm.
20. We've never really healed from the first traumatization. So
Right.
therefore, even what's happening right now in our society, from a
Mm-hmm.
racial perspective, it's just re-traumatizing us. And if you have
Right.
never have dealt with the trauma, then it just keeps piling on and piling on and piling on. And at
Mm-hmm.
some point, you have to sit down and talk about it. At
Yes.
some point, it just makes just good practical sense to just talk about it and try to get it out. And our friends and our family members sometimes cannot be the people that we go to,
Right.
because you have to realize they may have experience and they just really don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
May not want to just share.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when people come into therapy, they tell me initially everything that's going on, probably about 75% the first time. I got to figure that other 25% as time goes on.
Right. I
Yeah.
understand that. Another thing that happened that really traumatized the world was George Floyd.
Yes.
And it was the world because it was live. It was then, he was alive, and then he passed on during the process of us seeing it, and it was not a movie.
I call that the second pandemic that we were experiencing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because when I started talking about that, we've seen, just like you said, on television, we've seen movies,
Yes.
and we've seen people who have been apprehended or by the police unjustly and saying,
Mm-hmm.
I can't. We never saw the last breath come out.
Yes.
George Ford, we were able to see the last breath. And when you see
Yes.
somebody take their last breath, that's what was so traumatizing, because the world had a chance to see somebody's life just go, just in front of us.
Yes.
That happened. That's what triggered everybody and we were all home, and we all
Yes.
had a chance to see it.
Right.
So we caught it on the 6 o'clock news,
Right.
on the 10 o'clock. We
Mm-hmm.
saw it at the time, and it was played over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually saw a person lose their life. And we knew
Mm-hmm.
that it wasn't when the camera stopped playing that he wasn't
Right.
going to get up and walk away. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what really had an impact on the world, to say, hey, this is wrong. Why
Right.
are we treating people like this? Why are we treating a person like this? And it was and it has traumatized a lot of people to be able to stand up and say, that's why the Black Lives Matter,
Right.
isn't. We're not saying other lives don't matter, but just the fact that someone took someone's life
Right.
just as fast and seemed to not show any type of remorse at the time
Mm-hmm.
that it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so to me, and that's why I said another pandemic, because racism became,
Right.
uh, you know, for years, many clinicians have tried to put racism in the DSM, the book I talked about earlier.
Yes.
But it hadn't made it into the book to determine whether or not that is a mental health or mental disorder. But I've had a lot of Black psychologists throughout the years who've written on it, who have stated those who experience racism develop mental health disorders. But what about the person inflicting it?
Right.
What is that? What kind of personality we're looking at there?
Right. Absolutely. I totally agree with you, because I've heard people now that they were looking, some people said I just couldn't even look at it. I just couldn't even look at I did not want to see the video. And then some people were saying after they looked at it, of course, they could not sleep. They couldn't rest. They were actually, they had anxiety, depressed, and everything else, because that could be their own family member or themselves.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And then and if we become normal, if we become to make what we see inside normal, that's when we're going to really have a scary society. I don't want that to be some part of the norm where we're looking at people who are dying and saying that's okay.
Right.
Yes, it had an impact on a lot of people. It made parents more fearful about their sons and daughters going out, trying to experience the world, because we don't know how mean and how cruel people can be. How that's embedded in their psyche. So, and I told parents to decrease the amount of time for kids and decrease it for themselves. Because if you continue to watch something over and over, it will produce all the things that you just described. So once again, there are several things that can produce anxiety. We can go straight to the cause for that and depression, but there are things that happen that we don't know what causes it for some people. But yes, even I'm not immune. I became sad and tearful because I know what to do and know what to say, but it was a horrific scene at that particular time.
Sounds great. Let's take another break and we'll be right back.
We'll be right back to the Cam Hill Show after these messages.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
Houston's only Cadillac to your door dealer, Ron Carter Cadillac, delivers test drives to your home or office. Drive the new 2020 Cadillac XT4, only $399 a month, or the new 2020 XT5, only $429 a month, both for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Or purchase the XT4 or XT5 and enjoy 0.9% APR for 72 months with no payments until November. RonCarterCadillac.com.
Have you been injured in an 18-wheeler accident, truck accident, car accident? Was someone texting and ran into the back of you, not paying attention? It doesn't matter what it is. Give me a call, Attorney Willie Powell. We'll fix it today. The number is 281-881-2457. Again, that number is 281-881-2457. We'll fix it today. Call Attorney Willie Powell.
Houston's only Cadillac to your door dealer, Ron Carter Cadillac, delivers test drives to your home or office. For a limited time, get $16,000 off all in-stock Cadillac 2019 XT5 crossovers and $19,000 off all in-stock 2019 CT6 sedans. Or experience the first ever 2020 Cadillac XT6 Premium Luxury Collection, only $519 with $1 down for 39 months lease. Or purchase and receive 0.9% APR for 72 months with no payments until November. RonCarterCadillac.com.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hey, family, we are back. We are back with Dr. Janice Beal. Hey, lady, we've been talking about mental health, and I've been enjoying this because we need this. We need it badly. We really do.
Thank you. I'm having a great time. In between, my staff is running in and out, and we're trying to say what else we want to say, what else we want to make sure that I share with everybody today. Mental health is so important. I just want everybody to really understand that. Health means mental wealth. It's an equal thing. It helps your body to be able to function. There's no reason why we should not be able to obtain health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to know what to do and know how to when we're in trouble and we need to seek out help.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing when you're at a state where you need to ask someone to help you, or from family members, if they want to do an intervention, they say we need to help, um, Aunt Susie, whoever, to be able to know when people are at a state that they need to help is
And
most
let's
important.
really, I love that. Let's talk about the thing I always hear is we don't have the money, we don't have the insurance, let's talk about that part of how a person can get help if they are not insured. How does that work?
Okay, well, unfortunately, our state has not very high as far as funding mental health services. We
Right.
have
Mm-hmm.
legislators that are 110% behind us
Mm-hmm.
and trying to increase the amount of funds that go toward mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
In Houston, we have the Harris Center, which is the old MHMRA, which
Mm-hmm.
provides health counseling and medications, so they get an opportunity to see a therapist, and they're able to be seen by psychiatrists.
Mm-hmm.
Other private practitioners, such as myself, who are on sliding fee scales.
Yes.
So therefore, what their normal rate would be maybe something that they're willing to have a scale where based on your income as far as how
Right.
much you want to charge. We
Right.
have the Psych Center in Houston, which is located in Ben Taub.
Mm-hmm.
The Psych Center is available for psychiatric emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we have the hotline that I talked about earlier.
Yes.
People can call in at 556-1340 to be able to talk to a counselor. They also will connect you with different types of services that are free in our city. So there are a lot of
Yes.
a lot of agencies that they may not necessarily be free, but they will be at a cost that people would be able to afford. And one
Absolutely.
thing about it is, it's almost like, what best investment could you make if you don't invest in yourself?
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
So me buying a pair of new shoes and I'm not okay doesn't
Right.
make the shoes look any better. It just means
Mm-hmm.
the fact that shoes look okay for that moment because my
Right.
behavior may indicate that
Mm-hmm.
something else.
Mm-hmm.
So yourself first, seeking help for yourself, I think is very important. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you have to be in therapy forever.
Right.
Um, it just may be a short time period, but make the investment.
Mm-hmm.
Put just like going to any other specialty area. I
Mm-hmm.
think your mental equally, if not more important.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I love that because, and just like you were saying, there are some ways, especially calling the hotline and other places, and they have resources where you can, get the help that you may need. And like you said, it may not be for a long period of time. It may just be for a few sessions that you need to talk to someone. Just talk to someone so you can feel better that you've talked to a third party or something like that.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we have the Harris County Psychiatric Center, which
Yes.
is located on McGregor, which is a
Mm-hmm.
facility in the event that someone needed hospitalization and did not have any funds, and Ben
Right.
Taub Hospital. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not so many, but they're services that are available. You just have to reach out and ask
Right.
to take our loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
We're at a lack of treatment facilities, like long-term facilities, like we used to
Mm-hmm.
have. Medicaid, some of the insurances actually pay for that, but some of them
Mm-hmm.
don't. Drug and alcohol abuse. When we
Yes.
talk about, let's not, I almost forgot to not mention, make sure we include drug and alcohol abuse,
Yes.
because people think that alcohol is not a drug, and alcohol
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are suffering from mental health conditions, they self-medicate.
Yes.
And so by self-medicate, they use what is available as far as street drugs in order to
Mm-hmm.
be able to feel better. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another. So look at people who actually do that, so they understand that if you're self-medicating, that doesn't make the problem go away. It just kind of
Right.
stops it just for the moment. Because when you wake up or the high comes down, it comes right back.
Mm-hmm.
Our state will be able to fund more substance abuse programs and mental health programs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What could we do as consumers? What can we do as voters? We need to bring that out as voters. We need to bring out voting. What should we? No, right? We need to talk about register to vote so we can do some things. But you were talking about legislature, and you were talking about the fact that we're not getting as many funds for mental health. What can we change? How could we get those funds? How could we proportion those or find, get something? How can we help you or someone else in that?
Well, talk to your legislators, talk to our people that we elect. I know if I need mental health and I'm fighting, I know which people to pick up the telephone to call and say, hey, we have an issue. We've had, and I'm not sure if I can mention names or not, but I can tell you, our Congresswoman, Sheila Jackson, has been on the forefront of mental health for years. Our mayor has been on the forefront of mental health issues for years. So we have a lot of our city council members. I know who are interested in mental health concerns and mental health issues. So there are a lot who are, and if we just support them, or you tell them that you would like for that to be on the agenda and you like to be able to push that, that will change. A lot of them will. There have been a lot who have done a lot. Our state Sophronia Thompson. A lot of people have done a lot in the area of mental health. They just need support from, I guess, the citizens to be able to continue to make that fight.
Yes, and I don't want to leave out homelessness and veterans for mental health, but I don't want to leave them out because as far as mental health, many times people that are now homeless due to sometimes, because of those things, and especially our veterans also.
That's true. And the veterans, the VA hospital has their own mental health department, psychiatric department, psychiatric and psychologists. But yes, that's a major population, especially because you'll find that a lot of our homeless individuals are actually suffering from mental illness. And so case managers have been able to go out and try to assist as much. So the service is needed so vastly that we just have to work together to be able to put the funds into what's needed. If we don't realize how important the funding is, then services will go away. And we won't have what we need. So everybody needs it. Somebody said, oh, we already have maybe one hotline. Well, one hotline is not enough if a hotline does something different. That's the reason why there's several. So we have to be able to make that a priority, and we have to not make mental health at the back burner. So often, I'm so appreciative of the fact that you've taken this time to actually talk about mental health. Because so often, when it's time for me to speak, I'm at the end of the program, and I have very little time left. Oh, and by the way, let's take care of our mental health. Well, actually, if we're not mentally well, if something is wrong, the program won't go on. And it's to help people to be able to function, to be able to understand, to recognize the signs. We haven't talked about, some of the most frequently diagnoses that we have, and to the ones more severe. From our homeless population, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. What we're doing is our celebrities are helping us bring awareness because of the fact that we're seeing a lot of celebrities now who are putting money and putting funds into mental health because it's been touched and their family has touched them, or they may have it themselves. So therefore, they're starting their own foundations or in the name of somebody. So you'll see funding coming that way. So that's another way for things in order to be changed and to be different, for people to understand that mental health is real. And without dealing, will not be able to. We can look at our government, and we can look at somebody who I can see who clearly has mental health issues that have not been addressed. So, country to a certain degree. So we need to understand how we're going to help everybody to be able to be well and to be able to have that optimum life that we want to be able. So it's a gamut. It does. I don't think there's anyone who's not touched, or any family who's not touched in some form or fashion. Either knowing someone, experiencing themselves, or having someone who is related to them in certain types of ways. So we really need to reach out as a society to make sure that it's on the forefront.
Absolutely. What would you like to leave with our viewers at this time?
Gosh, I'd like to leave that as you go through this COVID-19, do know that there are many professionals that are out there that are willing to help, who are willing to reach out and give you strategies in order to be able to cope during this time period, to be able to recognize when you think that you're at a dark space or a space that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable and you feel as though you cannot get out or get through it by yourself, to reach out, to actually seek help. If you have family members or you have your children for the first time and you're noticing certain things, don't suffer in silence. We don't have to do that any longer. There are people that are willing to help. There are services that are out there. So call, talk about it, share. Don't suffer in silence. Don't let that pain overwhelm you. Be able to do the best. And I could have quoted all types of statistics. Do know that as a group of people, we're at the bottom, but we can move up to the top if we start to recognize and be able to practice self-care and self-help. I think that's most important, to be able to know that we can move from one space to the other. So don't let all of the things that are happening right now, because we're going to have to reset anyway. That's my new term. Before reset, we're no longer being able to go back to where society was and how we were at one point. We're at a different pendulum right now. So we're going to have to reset and start over on how we do things. Let's start off with mental wellness being the first thing that we start to put on our agenda. So that's what I'd like to, if we're going to reset this button after we make it through COVID-19, then we're going to start off with mental health and mental wellness. And we're going to eat better. And we're going to walk. And we're going to exercise. Do the things to be able to be the best person that we can be. And so that would be what I would like to leave for today.
We have been placing the hotline numbers up there for each person to see, so they can have that. Each one to see. There we go. We have one. Is that Houston? That's HISD, huh?
It's HISD has it. It's Let's Stay Connected. It's a free mental health hotline. They offer services. They offer their counselors that are on board. They will offer all types of support. They've even offered information as far as how for food and clothing and different things of that nature. So it starts off just talking about mental health, but mental wellness is the whole person. That's that mind, body, and soul.
Absolutely.
They would practice relaxation techniques with you on the hotline as well.
Then we have another hotline too that we have, another number.
Okay, and the second number that I see coming across the screen is the Harris Center, which is mentioned earlier, that offers free counseling services. So you have to call and register. They have several locations throughout the city in order to be able to provide counseling services and to be able to see. This is more of a treatment modality, moving from informational status to actually treatment for long-term care. So there may be wait lists, but please make that call, and to be able to seek and get the help that you want. I just think it's so important. And a lot of doctors such as myself, we're doing telehealth now. So we are doing telehealth, which means I can sit at my computer and I can do an assessment and I can make recommendations. So you don't really have to excuse anymore. I don't have time to go. Or I don't. I can't get down to somebody's office because the office is just a phone call away. So I don't know if I can give my number.
Yeah, absolutely. They want your number. They keep bugging them. They say, where's the number?
I'm sorry. Our office number is 832-740-4642. And that's 832-740-4642. And so that's, and I have people that are waiting and calling as well. So therefore, it's just important. It's important that you reach out. Yeah. We'll try our best to help you in any form or fashion.
I tell you, Dr. Beale, this has been exciting on today. Mental health, it has educated all of us in what it is, why it's so significant in our community, and how we should not be ashamed in speaking of it.
Yes, thank you. I really, really appreciate the platform to be able to say that. And to not make it seem a gloomy and doom thing. We're smiling because I know that we can get through it. We will get through it.
We will. Yeah.
This pandemic it may be hard right now as you're going through, but we will get to the other side. And once we're on the other the better we are as individuals is what I'm searching for and hope to accomplish.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
so people such as yourself who are open and willing to take it on, my hat's off to you.
I'm going to do a shout out. He won't like it, but Preston Middleton, thank you for putting us into touch with each other. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been great.
Tell my friend I said hello. Okay, if he's watching.
Yeah, no.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank
much. I appreciate
Okay.
you. Again, let's give that number one more time. They're asking. One more time, your number.
My office number is
Yes.
832-740-4642. The hotline number where counselors are ready, 713-556-1370.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I appreciate
Okay.
it. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. That is the end of the Cam Hill Show. But on tomorrow, we have Shanadra Wagner. She will be in here. She is a trilingual educator, and she's exciting. Thank you so much. Bye.